This shopping street is about a 20-minute walk from the station. Despite it being midday on the weekend, most shops have their rolling shutters down, and there are hardly any customers in sight. In this fading area, one small stationery shop somehow manages to keep its doors open. The shop, which has been around since my great-grandfather's time, is called Taylor Stationery Paradise. Paradise? Yeah, right, great-grandpa, you were definitely joking. I muttered in irritation as I sat on a chair beside the register. My name is Alexander, 27. Since my father had to step down 2 years ago due to worsening hernia issues, I've been running the shop in his place. The nearby department stores and trendy shops have drawn customers away, and just like this whole area, this traditional shopping street has declined steadily. Add to that the aging shopkeepers, the fact that we're a bit of a walk from the station, and other factors, and one by one, shops closed. As more shops disappeared, fewer customers showed up. As a result, my shop has been driven to the edge of bankruptcy. That's why the word paradise, which my great-grandfather added to the shop's name, hoping it would someday become a bustling, joyful place, has come to sound a bit bitter to me. I know he meant no harm by it, but these days, we sometimes go the whole day without a single customer, and the name just feels harder to ignore. It's not like I want to change the name, though. Changing it wouldn't suddenly bring in customers. My dad even told me when he handed over the shop, "You can walk away if you want, find a different path." But in the end, I love this shop and this street full of memories. I just don't want to give up yet. I'd love to see it breathe some life again, like back when I was little. Lost in thought, I sighed deeply. Just then, the bell on the sliding door jingled brightly. It seemed a customer had entered the shop. "Welcome. Is there anything you're looking for?" I quickly stood up from my chair. But when I saw the woman walking toward me, I was stunned into silence. She looked to be in her 20s, with flashy makeup and blonde hair. Was she what people call a fashion-forward girl? She was dressed in a pink leopard print dress, with rhinestone-studded nails that were unusually long, shining in a rainbow of colors. "Are you the owner of this stationery shop, Alexander?" She scrutinized my face and asked hesitantly. Yes, that's me." I stammered, feeling confused. Then, without warning, she handed me a plastic file folder with a single sheet of white paper inside. I took it cautiously and looked closely. Her photo was pasted on the paper, with black text filling every inch like a swarm of ants. "This is a resume, right? What's going on?" I asked, bewildered. She, looking slightly embarrassed, replied with a bit of a scowl. "I want to work here. I know it's sudden, but could you give me an interview right now?" I didn't quite understand her request and found myself staring in silence. But she swept her blonde curls over her shoulder, sat confidently in the chair I'd just been sitting in, and crossed her legs. From above, I could see her thick false eyelashes and the blue contact lenses that made her eyes look even more intense. Stunned by her bold makeup and impressively long nails, I finally managed to find my voice. Wait a second. You're serious? I never put up any job ads, and as you can see, we're barely holding on. We don't have the budget to hire anyone." She looked me in the eye, her expression serious, and replied, "I know that even without being told. The shops around here are all closing down one after another, and this place doesn't have long either, does it? But working at this stationery shop has been my dream since I was little. I even moved here from Tokyo by myself just for this." "Wait, you moved all the way here from Tokyo just to work here?" I muttered in disbelief, quickly double-checking the resume she had handed me. Her name was Lily, 23. After graduating from vocational school, she worked as a nail technician in Tokyo. She's been in that job ever since, apparently. "I see, so you were a nail artist. I mean, that rainbow-colored nail art today is definitely impressive. But, with those nails, the customers here might be a bit shocked." Of course, if you do it for your personal style, that's perfectly fine. Looking at the resume and the perplexed expression on my face, she suddenly brightened up. Oh, so you're saying if I drop the nails, you'll hire me? She leaned forward eagerly. Hold on. I never said I'd hire you. And anyway, why are you so fixated on this shop? Surely, there are plenty of other places you could work besides this one that's on the verge of closing. I asked, sounding a bit exasperated. She suddenly looked hurt. I didn't understand why, and it left me feeling a little confused. I can't explain all my reasons right now. But I want to work here, no matter what. I'll make sure we get more customers. Why don't you let me work for 1 month on a trial basis? I don't even need a salary for that time. Seeing her earnest look, tears welling up in her eyes, I folded my arms and thought about it for a while. I knew I should probably say no, but she did say that working here had been her dream since she was a child. I was curious about why that was, why she'd gone so far as to move just to be here. Alright, if you're really that set on it, let's try it for 1 month as a trial hire. Hearing what I said, she looked absolutely delighted and sprang up from her chair. She grabbed my hands firmly with both of hers, shaking them up and down as she bounced lightly on her feet. Yes. I'm so excited to work with you, Alex. And so, the bold, blonde, fashion-forward girl Lily started working at my stationery shop the next day. 3 days later. Since she started at Taylor Stationery Paradise, Lily's makeup and hairstyle remained as flashy as when we first met. But she'd toned down her unusually long nails to a more modest look, just like I'd asked. This morning, as soon as she clocked in, she told me she wanted to add handwritten tags to highlight recommended products. So I got her some poster paper and colorful pens. Thanks, Alex. I'd seen bookstores do it, and I thought it was a great idea. Oh, and I'd also love to make a zoo corner with animal-themed stationery. Can I rearrange the shelves a bit for that? An animal stationery zoo? That's an interesting idea. Actually, we just got some new items in. Like staplers shaped like crocodile mouths and pens with bunny ears. This might be the perfect time to showcase them, I said as I hauled a cardboard box from the back of the store. As I looked over and saw her carefully crafting her handwritten tags at the counter, I thought maybe she was surprisingly serious about her work. She mentioned getting the idea from bookstores, so maybe she's a reader too? As I watched her, lost in thought, she looked up and gave me a shy, embarrassed smile. Is my style really that strange? What? Oh, no, not strange, more like unique. So, when did you start liking this kind of look? Well, I've liked bold styles since I was a kid, but I think I started using fake eyelashes and colored contact lenses around middle school. At first, I just wanted to look cute, so I read magazines and practiced makeup like anyone else. But I wanted to be even cuter. And I found that this style was my ultimate look. Listening to her, I nodded thoughtfully. Just as there are diverse perspectives in life, the standards of what people find cute vary from person to person. And as for me, as I got used to her presence, I found myself gradually starting to see her as cute in her own way. But you know, with this style, people assume I'm, well, not too bright. I hate that, so I've always studied hard despite how I look. My vocabulary might be a bit rough, but I actually love reading novels. Not to brag, but I scored high on grammar exams. High scores on grammar exams? So you can breeze through writing complex grammar and spelling? That's seriously impressive. I praised her, recalling what she'd mentioned earlier. Ah, so that's why you go to bookstores sometimes, to buy novels. As I was thinking about that, I noticed her suddenly looking at me intently. Wondering what was going on, I continued checking the contents of the cardboard box when she unexpectedly asked me a question. Alex, do you prefer girls with a more refined look? Would you feel awkward being seen with a girl like me? I don't know. I think my type is just someone I feel is right, regardless of their fashion. Sure, people would stare. But that wouldn't make me dislike being with them. Huh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Otherwise, you wouldn't have agreed to hire me, right? Her face softened, and she looked genuinely pleased. But all I thought was, maybe she was dumped by an ex over her style? I was oblivious to any deeper feelings behind her question. And just like that, clueless as ever, I went back to focusing on organizing the shop. 4 weeks later. Since then, we'd tried all sorts of ideas, posting recommended items on social media and handing out flyers Lily designed herself at the station. Thanks to our efforts, a few more customers were coming, but we were still far from our target. This is tough. Bringing paradise back to life isn't as easy as I'd hoped. You can buy stationery at department stores near the station. So it's hard to get people to walk all the way out here. I muttered, feeling my shoulders slump. Even though I knew I couldn't afford to give up, I felt my spirit on the verge of breaking. Mentally cornered, I sighed heavily, lamenting that at this rate, the shop might end up closing down under my watch. Just then, Lily, who'd been taking photos for our social media, came over and offered some encouragement. Well, at least more people are stopping by than last month, right? That's a big achievement. Besides, this is only the beginning. I'm not giving up. Okay? I'm heading out to hand out more flyers on my bike, and there's a new bakery by the river. I thought I'd stop by on the way back. Want me to bring you something to lift your spirits, Alex? Her kind words touched me, and I felt my heart skip a beat. She might look like a wild fashion-forward girl, but her heart was pure, like an angel. Maybe, just maybe, marrying someone like her could bring me happiness. Feeling my spirits lift, I replied, "All right, thanks. I'd love a little treat from the bakery." And watched as she headed out with a stack of flyers. 3 hours later. Lily still hadn't returned from handing out flyers. Starting to worry, I pulled out my phone and called her at the number she'd given me recently. But she didn't pick up, and time kept slipping by. I stared out the shop's front window with a sense of dread as the sky grew ominous, gray clouds blanketing the sky. I hear thunder in the distance. Looks like we're in for a storm. The weather forecast was way off today. Muttering to myself, I could no longer sit still. I grabbed a large umbrella from behind the register. Then I stepped outside, locked the door, pulled down the rolling shutters, and put up the temporarily closed sign. Then, I pulled out my phone and searched for the new bakery by the river that she'd mentioned. As the scent of rain grew closer, I picked up my pace. 20 minutes later. Walking along the riverbank toward the bakery, I spotted Lily's pink bicycle parked near a bridge. I rushed over and looked around, only to hear the splashing sound of water in the distance. Just in case, I looked down toward the riverbank, and to my surprise, there she was, wading in the shallows, doing something in the water. Looking closer, I saw her feeling around the riverbed, clearly searching for something. "Lily! What happened? Did you drop something?" I shouted, leaving the umbrella behind as I hurried down to her. Noticing me, she lifted her face, looking anxious and on the verge of tears. "Alex, I'm sorry. I meant to call, but I left my phone in the shop's bathroom. My house key fell out of my pocket while I was riding my bike on the bridge. I think it landed somewhere around here, but I just can't find it." "Oh, I see. I'll help you look, just wait a moment." I kicked off my shoes, rolled up my pant legs, and stepped into the river. Just then, unlucky as we were, it started to rain, drop by drop. But without her key, she wouldn't be able to go home. Seeing her desperately searching made me feel sorry for her, so I kept going, helping her look for the key without hesitation. "How big is the key? And does it have any unique features?" "It's about the size of my palm, with a handmade whale keychain. The whale's actually a bit bigger than the key." "A handmade whale keychain. Did you make it?" Well, anyway, we'll talk later. Let's focus on finding it for now. The rain gradually grew heavier, pouring down until our hair and clothes were soaked. The water level seemed to be rising, making both of us feel increasingly anxious to find the key quickly. Oh no, I think my fake eyelashes are coming off in this rain. My makeup is totally ruined. I should have at least done my eyeliner with a permanent marker. A permanent marker? Are you that committed to your eye makeup? I'm betting you'd look gorgeous without all that. Like one of those classic transformations. As we were talking, a thick clump of her false eyelashes drifted right past me. I quickly picked it up and looked over to hand it back to her. But the moment I looked at her face to call out, I was stunned into silence by her nearly bare face. Oh, those are my eyelashes. Did you pick them up for me, Alex? Thanks. As she took them and wiped the raindrops from her eyes with the back of her hand, I realized, just as I'd suspected, that she was stunningly beautiful. But that wasn't the only reason I was so shocked. Seeing her face washed clean of makeup brought back memories of a girl who'd lived in my neighborhood long ago. It was 20 years ago, during the summer. Back then, I was a 6th grader, and I'd gone to the festival at the shopping street with a girl I was close with who lived nearby. The girl beside me was wearing flashy pink clothes with frills, laughing and playing around. She must have been about a 2nd grader back then, with her hair in 2 pigtails. I remember calling her Sunny. Sunny, what do you want to eat next? Let's see. I want that one. She pointed to the classic shaved ice stand, a festival staple. It was an especially hot day, and I'd been thinking I could go for something cold, too. Good idea. We might have to wait a bit, but I think 10 minutes won't be too bad. What flavor do you want, Sunny? Of course, strawberry, just like my clothes. I figured she wanted strawberry to match her outfit. Being an only child who'd always wanted a sibling, I adored her like a little sister. As the crowd grew, we held hands to avoid getting separated and chatted while we waited in line. 10 minutes later, we finally got our shaved ice, and we sat in a corner of the shopping street, eagerly digging in. Just then, a boy around middle school age, horsing around with his friends, accidentally bumped into her, knocking her shaved ice out of her hands. In slow motion, the ice scattered across the ground, and the light sound of the foam cup hitting the pavement echoed. She stood there, surprised, holding only her spoon, staring down at the fallen treat. The boy turned pale when he saw what had happened, but he didn't apologize and quickly walked away with his friends, pretending nothing had happened. Sunny, are you okay? Did you get hurt anywhere? When I asked her worriedly, she looked as if she was about to cry and replied, I'm okay, but I feel bad for the strawberry shaved ice we just bought. She picked up the fallen cup, confirmed it was empty, and quietly sniffled, letting a tear slip down her cheek. Panicking a little, I held out my blue tropical flavor shaved ice to her. It's not strawberry, but would you like to share mine? Of course, I could buy another one for you, too. Flustered, I made the offer, and she wiped her tears with her fingertips, giving a small nod. Then, looking a little happier, she said, "Thank you," and smiled brightly at me. Now, as an adult, seeing Lily's bare face with her makeup washed away, I realized she might be the same girl from back then. Hesitantly, I asked, Lily, are you the Sunny who used to live in my neighborhood? She turned to me, looking completely shocked, and in her surprise, she lost her balance, nearly falling backward. I quickly reached out to support her back, helping her regain her footing. Our eyes met in an instant, and she gave me an embarrassed smile. Just then, something caught my eye, a small glint in the grass nearby. Thinking it might be the key, I scrambled out of the river and started parting the grass with my hands. There it is! The key with the whale charm. It didn't fall in the river after all. I shouted in excitement, picked up the key, and held it up in front of my face to inspect its condition. Fortunately, it was just a little dirty, with no signs of damage. She hurried over, her face lighting up as she took the key, looking at it with visible relief. Laughing together, we realized, well, I guess we didn't have to wade in the river after all, and quickly headed back. A few hours later, at my parents' house next to the stationery shop, we each took turns showering, and now, sitting on the chairs by the register, we talked about what had just happened. Wearing clothes borrowed from my mom. Lily, without her bold fashion-forward girl makeup, had a face as familiar and refined as the little girl I remembered. "You finally remembered me. I was so sad during the interview when it seemed like you'd completely forgotten," she said, pouting. I waved my hand, shaking my head in denial. "It's not like I forgot, it's just that I never would have guessed you two were the same person. I only ever called you by your nickname, so I didn't know your real name. And you moved away when I was in middle school, so it's been 15 years? Considering how much time has passed, it's a miracle I remembered anything at all." "A miracle, huh? That's so mean. And you're saying you might not have remembered me at all? You're the one who told me, when we grow up, let's get married and run the shop together, remember?" Hearing that, I almost choked on the tea I was drinking. To my horror, no matter how far back I reached into my memory, I couldn't recall ever proposing something like getting married and running a shop together. Nervous sweat started to trickle down my back. "So that's why you said in the interview that working here had been your dream since you were little. Now I finally understand what you meant," I said, staring off into the distance. She nodded enthusiastically. "Yep. When my dad got transferred and I had to move, you said that to me when I was crying because I was so sad. I figured you'd probably forgotten a childhood promise like that, and I didn't have my hopes up. But I never forgot. And once I was old enough to ride the train alone, I'd sometimes come by just to peek at the store. I was too shy to actually go in, though." "Wow. I didn't know any of that." My nonchalant response seemed to annoy her, and she let out a dissatisfied huff. But I didn't know what to say about a promise I couldn't even remember. And on top of that, it wasn't just about dating, she was talking about marriage. Though I'd started to feel drawn to her pure-hearted nature lately, I wasn't in any position to think about marriage with the shop on the brink of closure. "Of course, I think you're a good person, Sonny, and pretty cute too. But as you can see, the shop's been in the red for a while. And there's just no way I could promise you any kind of stable life." Seeing me so deep in thought, she suddenly brightened up and leaned forward. "Wait, so you do like me? You're saying that if the store goes into the black, you'll marry me, right?" This whole conversation felt oddly familiar. I frowned and said, "Hold on, I never said that. And making this store profitable again won't be that easy, even with all the effort we're putting in." But she didn't change her expression, just kept smiling as she replied, "Didn't I tell you? I'll figure something out." I'd been checking in on this place for years, so I already knew the shop was in trouble. I'd been planning all kinds of strategies up to now, so I'm not giving up yet. "So let's renew my contract. Just extend my trial period by one more month." Her relentless positivity, even at a time like this, left me both amazed and slightly exasperated. I couldn't help but wonder where she got all that confidence. At the same time, I had to admire the survival spirit of a girl like her. Compared to me, who easily got discouraged, her energy and determination were truly remarkable. Because of that, I realized that somewhere along the way, I'd come to feel strengthened by having her by my side. All right. At this point, it's practically a full hire. I'll pay you properly, but in exchange, keep supporting me until the end." Her face lit up, and she nodded with a beaming smile. Without missing a beat, she brought out the poster board and pens for making signs. And we launched into another strategy session for the shop's future. A few days later, when I asked Sunny about the whale keychain on her key, I discovered that her hobby was making handmade crafts. She'd apparently been thinking about selling some of her work at our stationery shop for a while, so now I was setting up a display for the items she'd brought from home. There were strawberry pouches, seashell accessories, and more, all crafted beautifully. Her skill with fine details, no doubt honed from her work as a nail artist, really impressed me. At the same time, I started to wonder if we might be able to host some handmade craft workshops, just as Sunny returned from handing out flyers. "Welcome back, Sunny. You were quick." Just then, a small bark came from somewhere nearby. Surprised, I paused my work and turned to see Sunny holding a small, white chihuahua in her arms. I found this little one wandering near the shop. When I called out, he started following me. "I think he's lost. Do you think we could help find his owner?" She said this with a worried look, gently stroking the chihuahua's head. Years ago, I used to have a corgi as the shop's mascot, and despite being surprised by this sudden encounter, I told her we'd keep the dog here until we found its owner. We called the local authorities and added a notice about the lost dog on the corner of our flyers. I'll post about him on my social media, too. I'm sure people will help spread the word and help us look. As she tapped away on her phone, the white chihuahua ran circles around her, eager for attention. The dog didn't have a collar, but its coat was shiny and well maintained as if it had been brushed daily. Definitely not the look of an abandoned pet. I'm sure the owner will be found soon. They obviously took good care of this little one. I crouched down and gently petted its sleek fur, and the chihuahua narrowed its big eyes happily, wagging its tail with joy. Around noon a few days later, I was checking the clock in the store, feeling my stomach starting to growl, when the doorbell chimed. In walked an elderly man with white hair. I had a strong feeling he was the dog's owner. "Oh, excuse me. My name is George, and I live nearby. My friend saw a flyer and told me my dog might be here," he said. As soon as he spoke, the chihuahua, who'd been dozing on a cushion in the corner, woke up and darted over to him. Noticing, George knelt down, opened his arms, and embraced the dog gently. "Thank God, my little Mahalo. I'm so glad you're safe," he said, holding back tears. I loosened his harness on our walk so he'd be more comfortable. And he slipped away. "You took him in and kept him safe. Thank you so much." Seeing tears of joy well up in his eyes, I exchanged a glance with Sunny, and we both smiled, silently sharing at that wonderful moment. "So, his name is Mahalo. That means thank you in Hawaiian, doesn't it?" she asked. As she spoke to him, he nodded and replied, "You know a lot." "That's exactly right. I'd been in love with Hawaii since I was young. Over the years, after many trips there, I dreamed of bringing a piece of it back here, and that's how I ended up running a Hawaiian-style cafe in Japan. But now I'm turning 80, and it's getting harder to keep up in the kitchen. I'm thinking it might be time to close up the cafe soon." Then, as he spoke, an idea seemed to strike him. "Oh, your shop is called Taylor Stationery Paradise, isn't it? Paradise means resort to me, like Hawaii. My cafe may be closing, but I have lots of resort-style furniture in good condition. If you'd like, I'd be happy to let you use it here." Hearing his words, we were both taken by surprise and found ourselves looking at each other once again. It was an unexpected offer, but a resort-style stationery shop? That might actually catch people's interest. Looking at Mahalo, who was now sitting obediently and wagging his tail, I couldn't help but say, this could be a great opportunity. Sunny and I both broke into smiles and told him, yes, we'd love to accept your offer. 2 months later, after receiving the furniture from George, we emptied our savings to renovate the stationery shop. We redid the walls and floors with ocean-inspired designs, installed a ceiling fan that spun elegantly, and placed lush plants throughout the space for a soothing vibe. We even added a cafe corner where customers could bring their own food and drink, set up relaxing music, and arranged chic furniture like hanging chairs and hammocks. News of the resort-style stationery store spread fast, and from the day of our reopening, the shop was buzzing with customers. I never imagined that the paradise in our shop's name would end up helping us this much. With the support of Mahalo, George, and Sunny's ideas, customers kept saying they couldn't wait to come back. The handmade craft classes Sunny was teaching were a big hit with kids and women alike. Filled with gratitude, I looked around at the bustling shop, amazed at how far we'd come. Sunny approached me with a beaming smile. "The palm tree pens and pineapple pouches are selling like crazy," she reported happily. "Great to hear. Maybe we should expand our resort-themed products. It might be fun to import items from overseas, too. I might even go on a sourcing trip to some resort destinations." I said so, my mind already imagining the possibilities. Blushing, she asked shyly, "Wait, does that mean this trip would be our honeymoon?" Without denying it, I just smiled, and she gazed at me with a serious expression. "Really? If you're not denying it, it's a promise, right?" "You won't get to forget it this time," she said with a grin. With a smile, I nodded, saying, "Got it." Then I gently took her hand under the counter and gave it a quiet squeeze to make sure no one else saw. "Sunny, you're the goddess of victory for this shop. I want you by my side forever. So once we've saved up a little more, let's definitely go to Hawaii together." With a firm resolve to make this shop even more prosperous, I told her directly. And once things became a bit more stable, I wanted to help support other struggling shops in the shopping street, just as everyone had helped me. As I was thinking about this, Sunny flashed a beaming smile, squeezed my hand tightly, and said something that caught me off guard. "If it means I get to hold hands with you like this, maybe I should start keeping my nails shorter, even in my personal life." Hearing that, I couldn't help but chuckle as I remembered her shockingly long, rainbow-colored nails from our first interview.